Hi folks, we are now on the other side of the new moon solar eclipse. And rather than do a weekly overview just yet, because it's not a very remarkable weekly overview, and a lot of the aspects, in fact, the vast majority of the aspects that occur this coming week occur in the next 3 days and were covered in last week's new moon solar eclipse video. So for those of you who are not aware, I did do a video for the new moon solar eclipse about a week ago, and it is in the free part of the channel. It is a freely available video, so please do take a look at it. We had the new moon solar eclipse earlier today, and really the energies related to the new moon solar eclipse are more relevant after the new moon solar eclipse. So if you haven't taken a look at it, feel free to take a look at it now. For the full moon lunar eclipse and for this particular eclipse, for the past couple of videos, because I've started to do some of my new moon and full moon videos a little bit earlier than I was doing them before, I do come around to do what I'm calling a kind of a pep talk for these major astrological events that builds on the bigger reading, the primary reading that I did in this case a week ago, and talks about the energy of the time. When I look at the weekly overview for next week, as I said, the vast majority of the aspects, Mars and the Sun changing signs. Mars enters Scorpio tomorrow and the Sun enters Libra tomorrow. And then after entering Libra, the Sun makes the 3 primary aspects that are encoded into the new moon. We had a new moon solar eclipse earlier today that opposed Neptune and that trined Uranus and Pluto. And the Sun on Tuesday opposes Neptune and trines Pluto and Uranus. So we do have the Sun trining Pluto and Uranus to kind of look forward to. On the 24th, we have Mars squaring Pluto. And all those aspects were covered in last week's new moon solar eclipse video. Closer to the end of the week, we have Mercury opposing Chiron, but that's it for this week. So this pep talk may actually be, I'll do a weekly overview, but it's likely to be, feel free to take a look at it, but it's this pep talk that I think is going to be more relevant for this coming week. Now, I don't know about you, but as I had mentioned to you, certainly leading up to the new moon, and because the moon, the new moon occurs and the moon is still dark for all intents and purposes for another 48 hours or so. In a lot of traditions, a lot of things that we attribute to the new moon, writing down affirmations related to the house and affairs of the house where the new moon occurs, can be done after the new moon. And in certain traditions, people wait till they can see the crescent of the moon, even if it's the slimmest crescent. The moon is no longer dark before they put some energy behind those intentions. I find that the energy does shift after a new moon. The wind does start to move behind our sails. I heard this from a lot of people and felt this myself as well. Certainly the last 48, 72 hours, if ever my head could just hit a pillow, I was out to the world. It was hard to be productive. A desire to nap, to release, and the entire last week really felt like the heart of the eclipses. And I'll come to that energy. So by the time we got to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I wouldn't have been surprised at all if there was a certain amount of exhaustion in the air. And finally the new moon gets to give things a bit of a rev up or start up. And so now, as we head into next week and the moon becomes less and less dark and becomes bigger and bigger, and we head to the first quarter moon, expect energy to show up, and expect, insofar as this is a new moon in Virgo and also a south node new moon solar eclipse, expect the new moon aspect of Virgo just as it did on August the 22nd, because we've had 2 new moons in Virgo now back to back. Expect new things, subtle but unmistakable opportunities. And because it's an eclipse, maybe not so subtle and unmistakable, to respond to. A new moon creates a month, a 4-week period where you are asked to plant seeds and take actions to bring the part of your chart where the new moon occurs into alignment with what you value and what you want things to look like and what you think needs to be cleaned up and what you think needs to be done. Planting seeds, taking action, the next right step and the next right step and the next right step. Typically, new moons are not a time of manifestation or harvest as much as they are of taking actions to bring matters into life, planting seeds, as I like to call it. So expect energy to return and us to start to gently ramp up our productivity and our energy as this week progresses. By the time we get to next week and we're headed to the Aries full moon, it may completely, it's a different, as you're headed to the full moon, it's a completely different kind of productivity and energy increase. So let's, go ahead and expect that. As I said, I need to now be careful as I'm going into the pep talk part of this video. I'm going to be very careful not to repeat what I said in the larger new moon solar eclipse video because I don't want us to be here for another hour and 10 minutes. But the new moon has occurred, energy is behind us, the last 48 to 72 hours, many of us may have been battling a certain exhaustion. The fact that eclipses, we're still for another week in eclipse season. The week after a new moon solar eclipse. So really, till the 28th of September, we are still in eclipse season. So expect the kind of God taking the wheel, eclipsy energies and occurrences still to continue over the next week or so. Introducing paradigm shifts and change and feeling the tectonic plates shift between us, and in certain cases simply creating change, eclipsing situations in and out, creating breakthroughs that we can walk through. And what we are doing in summary is moving towards the Pisces part of the chart, leaning into the Pisces part of the chart, but also creating something new in the Virgo part of the chart to support that North Node leaning into in the Pisces part of the chart, the house occupied by Pisces. Creating something new as a result of the new moons in Virgo, a new direction that is in alignment with what the eclipses want us to go, while we are releasing something with the September 21st new moon solar eclipse today, releasing something in the Virgo part of the chart that is outmoded, but it can be a gradual process that takes us to February 2027. And as I've mentioned to you now a number of times before, the new moon solar eclipse on the 21st has a corresponding full moon lunar eclipse on March the 3rd. So I expect that the bulk of the activity that we would relate to, that we would connect with having the North Node eclipses going over the house occupied by Pisces in your birth chart and the South Node eclipses going over the Virgo part of the chart, the most eclipsy events will likely occur between September 21st, I should say September 14th, the week before the solar eclipse, and March the 10th, the week after the lunar eclipse, corresponding lunar eclipse. So when you have a South Node new moon eclipse, sometimes because the Pisces Virgo eclipses started up in the middle of July of 24 and end in February 27, sometimes when the South Node new moon solar eclipse occurs, there can be a feeling that we've been delivered right back to where we belong. And for some of us, the energy of actually trying to break through as a result of the eclipses can feel a little bit thwarted. We might become very present to what is actually holding us back and what needs to be released and what needs to be sorted out and what needs to be cleaned up. So if some of the change agents, I want you to understand that this is an eclipse cycle that takes us from the middle of July of 2024 to February 27. So there is a time period associated with it. September has been we've had eclipse months, but I've never in recent memory had one quite like September. It's been really intense. Really intense for everybody. For everybody. And For some people, including over the next week, there might be sort of the eclipse-related lightning strike that prompts action or change. But with the South Node new moon solar eclipse, I often find that people develop more and more of a sense of where they're headed and where they need to move towards, but also a feeling of like, oh, I'm right back in the middle of whatever it is that I need to release. Because in order to release what you've got to release in the Virgo part of the chart, you've got to be in it. If it was already released, the new was already here, and the new was already created, there would be nothing to release. So it could be that you have a sense of which direction you need to go in. Sometimes it could be a sense of, with the eclipses, they can give you a sense of just how limber and agile you need to be to take advantage of opportunities, and you could realize that you are just not prepared. Now, sometimes we are not prepared. Sometimes we're actually prepared, but we're in resistance. And sometimes we're, for the vast majority of us, somewhere in between, where we have to face the fact that if something came up that had a certain energy to it, an inevitability to it, something that we wanted to take and move forward with, that we might not be, that we're not ready for it. And typically it's because there's something, we have to make some sort of switch and something needs to be released. Now, sometimes we're not ready to release things because whatever we're releasing is actually providing us a certain amount of security, and it's not the right time. And it may not be the right time. But by now, through September, I would imagine you should have a sense of what direction these eclipses are asking you to lean into and what it is that you're releasing. And you can feel it. When it comes to leaning into a particular direction, the middle of July of 2024, the middle of September 2024, July 7th, the week before, week after, 2025. September 7th, week before, week after, 2025. And we're going to have one more of these eclipses at the end of August of next year, leaning into the Pisces part of the chart. When it comes to what we need to release, week before and after January 13th of this year, week before and after March 13th of this year, week before and after September 21st of this year, today. Week before and after November 21st of this year, week before and after January 3rd of next year, week before and after March the 3rd of next year. And then you're going to have one more lunar eclipse in February of 27. So the corresponding 2 months before that in December of 26, and the week before and after the eclipse in February 27. What needs to be released? I would expect further developments related to eclipses over the next week. I would expect that we have greater energy. I would expect, as I said in my larger new moon solar eclipse video, that we will be taking steps to continue to create the new that is in alignment with the kind of right direction that we're going in the Virgo part of the chart, and getting ready to embark on a 6-month period of releasing in the Virgo part of the chart as well, something that might be a source of security, but we instinctively know needs to make way for a newer way of being, and we're partnering with the universe to figure out when the right timing is, and we're trying to do our best not to be rash or reactive or just create the eclipses for ourselves. And sometimes this can mean that as you focus on creating the new, that you give less and less time or attention to the old. And rather there being some sort of a lightning strike, this kind of moving towards the new, releasing the old just happens gradually during this kind of cycle. But with this new moon south node eclipse, it can sometimes feel like, well, that was a bust. I didn't get on the plane that I thought the eclipses were putting me onto. I'm actually back where I was, and I've already started the process of putting less attention on what I need to release, But now I realize that I'm back here because I need to clear things out, close things out, sort out everything that needs its own attention. And very often the nodes work together. So the new will continue to demand your attention, but more focus between September 14th to March the 10th needs to be also placed on whatever it is that is preventing you from feeling prepared enough to take advantage of the direction and the opportunities related to both whatever that is new that is being created in the Virgo part of the chart and what it means to lean into, what you need to lean into in the Pisces part of the chart, the house occupied by Pisces in the chart. So there can be a lot of, over the last week, over this coming week, a real awareness of, oh wow, in order for me to really be able to move and kind of ride the waves of the eclipses, I can now see what I don't have in place and what I need to start to do in order to be more appropriately agile so I can actually get onto that plane. If you feel that things are at a place, I took 3 or 4 notes here. If you feel like things are at a place where you're being prevented to move forward in some way, then you need to deal with the things that are preventing you, creating that prevention. Certainly over the last 48 to 72 hours, and to some extent, although this is going to, I'm telling you, it's going to be less of a feeling now, even over the next 48 hours, do what you need to if you feel like your system needs a reboot. Now, it's very possible that has already happened over the past 3 days, resting, sleeping. You may have even woke up this morning feeling more refreshed than you have felt. I'm telling you, the dark of the moon, especially something like an eclipse where everything is exaggerated, some of you may have just felt exhausted, overwhelmed, like I cannot deal with one more thing. We have 1 more week of eclipse energy. As I said, perhaps welcoming in the new or a seed that has been planted. And the biggest thing I want to convey to you is that as we continue to go through this week and eclipsy events may still continue to occur, I just want you to be aware that we've come through the eclipse tunnel. We are now on the other side of it. We have another week left where God continues to take the wheel. And for the eclipses to occur and for us to become aware of what we need to release where we are and what, this is the most important part, where we are in the continuum from middle of July of 24 to February 27 in releasing it. Because as I said, just because we've had a new moon south node solar eclipse doesn't mean we have to rush and throw out something that is actually providing us some security. We've just got to focus on creating the new and making that the priority. And whatever it is that we know needs to be released can then get released in its own timeline, can continue to provide that security until it is no longer relevant. During this eclipse cycle, something could happen, some sort of event or events could happen that prompt that release in a more dramatic manner. There's no question about it. And for most of us, that might occur. That eclipse event might occur, which prompts us to lean into something in the Pisces part of the chart and leave something behind between September the 14th of this year and March the 10th of next year. And particularly the week before and after January the 3rd and week before and after March the 3rd. It's that week before and after January the 3rd, heading to the March 3rd, that I find that a lot of sort of eclipse striking occurs as you head to the full moon lunar eclipse that is bookending, that is the closing parentheses for a new moon solar eclipse that occurred in the same sign about 6 months ago. So another week of eclipsy energy. That could be an element this week if over the past 3 weeks, and particularly the past week after Mercury cleared his conjunction with the South Node and the Sun a week and a half ago, as Mercury is starting to become clear the combustion with the Sun, as the winged messenger is acting on its directive from the Sun. Remember, I did a video 2 videos ago saying, what's in the envelope, Mercury? As we head into next week, it might become clearer what's in the envelope. It could be that something continues to develop next week that is about creating the new. But it won't also surprise me if you're very present and aware to what it is that is preventing you from being as limber as possible to move towards the new. And what it is, are you ready? Are you prepared if the eclipses strike? If there's an opportunity that comes up that really feels resonant and like something that you need to move towards, are you ready to take it? Now, I'm going to have to leave it to each of you to figure out how to make your choices. I will say for myself that the things that are meant for me are a slam dunk. There's something about them where everything gets sorted out pretty easily. Sometimes things can get presented and they can have a kind of, it's not quite as clear. And it's in those cases that I can't tell each of you, God, that dog. Depending on what you all are dealing with regard to what is new, or what new opportunities you should respond to. Sorry, part of the reason I'm pausing is I'm having trouble articulating, putting into words what I'm feeling about this. Oh my God. When the eclipses occur, what we're meant to create and what we're meant to release, it's not, they kind of go hand in hand. Now my contact lens is bothering me. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, you guys. I get so irritable with any disturbance when I'm doing a reading. And I'm like, what is going on? All right, let's get centered. This is the final point that I'm trying to make. Very often with eclipses and eclipse cycles, there's a direction, there are opportunities, there are things that show up, carrots at the end of the stick, that seem to be giving us a sense of what it is that we could take or what it is that manifests. In certain cases with eclipses, offers can also manifest. Now, what I'm trying to say is, try to determine for yourself what is the right energy for what it is that you're meant to move towards, and what actually collapses into place for you, and what is not. I still don't feel like I'm articulating that very effectively. The things that have manifested for me, that feel like opportunities, everything gets sorted out. It doesn't, there's always work and there's always effort. You have to show up to things. You have to apply for things. You have to do your best. You have to have clean intentions. Some people who manifest things will say, well, my intentions weren't clean. That's, you've got to show up. Effort has to be made. And if you're starting something new or moving towards something new, let's say a new job or something like that, there's always effort needing to be expended. Don't ask me what is going on with this side of my head with my hair, because I know you're asking, apparently. But sometimes things may come up from an eclipse perspective. Eclipses can be, and the North Node especially can play these games with regard to, here's a shiny object, here's another shiny object, here's something in the left hand, something in the right hand, which one will you choose? And the strategies related to your North Node placement, the sign and the house, become very important to figure that out. It's not meant to be, I'm getting so tied up in explaining this. I find that the things that are clear and that are meant for us have a real ease about them. We show up, we do the effort, but things work out. We are able to, there's always effort that is expended in getting onto that plane. getting onto that train. And it doesn't have to be a journey, it's a metaphor. The things that we put question marks around, and these could even be offers or opportunities, but where things are not necessarily sorted, where it's like a little bit of, someone is not paying you enough. You're not sure if it's going to be worth your money. It doesn't feel like a slam dunk to you necessarily. Those are the places where we've really got to tap into how we're making our choices. And no matter what, and it's very possible that if you have had, it's very possible in the last week for some of you that glimmers could have come up. What would make you aware, dear patrons, dear subscribers, dear viewers, what would make you aware of what it is that needs to be released? What would make you aware that you're back dealing with whatever it is that needs to be released? The fact that some things or something showed up, especially over the last week, that gave you a sense of, oh, I need to be open to something like that. Now, whatever something like that is, could actually be something that happens for you and you're going to take it. You're going to get onto that train or get onto that plane, and the eclipses and the universe and spirit is supporting you. Or it could be something that shows up where you're just like, something like that, but not that. But you know what? Part of the reason why I can't take that, or part of the reason why I might be ready to take that now in about 2 or 3 weeks, is because I become very aware that if something like that showed up, where I am at, it was just the ring light, where I am at in the process of whatever I need to release in order to be limber, in order to take it. One of the things that happens when I do these general videos is that I start to crave that I was talking to specific individuals or looking at a specific chart. And I think the last 5 to 10 minutes of this particular video has had that feeling where I'm trying to articulate something, but I'm really missing the specificity of a chart. Let me summarize everything I want to say as part of this pep talk. The new moon has happened. We are on the other side of the dark of the moon. The moon is still going to be dark for the next 48 hours. Your system may continue to need a reboot, but chances are the energy is behind your sails now. And already you might be starting to feel a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more hopeful. I'm not going to say that you're ready to bounce around and fly around as if it's a full moon, but the energy hopefully has shifted. It is a second new moon in Virgo, so the Virgo part of the chart over the next 4 weeks, you may continue to avail of subtle but unmistakable opportunities, not so subtle opportunities to create something new in the Virgo part of the chart that supports the North Node eclipses in Pisces as well. And because what we have had today is a South Node new moon solar eclipse between September the 14th of this year and March the 10th of next year, a process has started that accelerates more of releasing something outmoded, something old, something that feels dead and cumbersome, but may still be something you can lean into for security, to start to decrease its presence in your life. You don't need to, as I've been saying to you all along, do anything to accelerate the eclipses or create a crisis for yourself. The eclipses will take care of bringing you things to move you towards the new, so that the old can get less and less energy. You've just got to figure out how you're going to manage the transition. And it is in that managing this transition that we find ourselves, so that I find that when there's a new moon solar eclipse of release that is occurring at around the time of the new moon, the week before and after, you might be very, very present to what it is that you need to release that allows you to be open and limber enough and ready to move in the direction of the right types of opportunities as they show up. Over the last week, some of you could have received opportunities, some of which feel like, oh, that's clearly something I'm going to do and take and move in the direction of. Some of you may have gotten something where you might feel like, well, that might be emblematic of it, but there's something about it that is still holding me back. So you don't take it. Some of you may have received North Node mirage-like opportunities. Oh, is this going to come through? Is this going to come through? I'm going to show up for it. It's going to be this. It's going to be this. And nothing comes through. But the fact that those things showed up gave you enough of a sense of, oh, I need to be in a place where I can really jump on this. There must be a lot of awareness about what it is that needs to be released in the Virgo part of the chart while you're creating something new there as well. And whatever it needs to be released the week before and after September 21st, week before and after November 21st, January 3rd of 26, and March the 3rd of 26 could bring developments around releasing whatever that is. Whatever it is that you are, whether they are real opportunities or mirages that showed up in the last week, week and a half, 10 days, ever since Mercury and the South Node and Mercury and the Sun conjuncted, and Mercury has been moving further from the Sun and getting away from the Sun, becoming less and less combust. And especially over the next week, you could become much more aware of what is out there in the distance for you. That distance for some of you could be 2 days, for some of you could be 2 weeks, for some of you could be 3 weeks, for some of you could be a month, for some of you could be 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. Could be next year, could be whatever it is. But there's an awareness of how prepared you are currently, but especially an awareness of what you need to do in order to feel limber enough to move in the directions and be open to directions and opportunities that support where your development lies, and releasing whatever it is that may be a source of security currently, but feels like, you know what, I can tell that over time this is going to have to move away, because if I stay in it, I'm just going to feel increasingly less and less fulfilled. Going back to something as a process over the next 6 months, clearing up, closing things out, going back to something, clearing up, closing things out, finding yourself back in something, finding yourself very present to what is a source of security, but is giving strong signs of starting to decay, and taking action to decrease its presence, the presence and influence of anything that is making you less agile and less available to what is new. And what is new may actually have shown up. Certain other things may have shown up that are kind of emblematic of it, that may or may not work out, but gives you a sense of, oh, that's the carrot at the end. I see what it is that I need to be available or open to doing. So now starts about a 6-month process of taking active steps to decrease the influence of something that may be a source of security, but like all security blankets, is preventing forward movement. So as I said, you don't need to do anything to throw the security blanket off prematurely. You just start the process of releasing what you need to release, and the right timing will find you. And it will likely come with whatever's new showing up. You know, as I said, the nodes go hand in hand. The fact that it's a South Node solar eclipse doesn't mean that over the next week something shows up that's emblematic of the North Node in Pisces that actually then starts the process or creates the impetus to start the process of releasing something in the Virgo part of the chart. I feel better now and more articulate. Having said all that, I hope it made sense to you. I hope the question of how you make your choices with regard to what you take and what you pursue makes sense to you. I tried to give you a sense of what it is that works for me. But each of us has got to go through that process and figure that out for ourselves. There are 3 ways to connect with me or to avail of my services. The free content I put out on this channel, the $6.99 a month membership part of the channel. I'm going to start doing my next round of member videos starting tomorrow for each rising sign, an analysis of the chart as of the day when I am reading the chart. So starting tomorrow, I'm going to start with Scorpio rising tomorrow. So members, please know that those videos will start to emerge. The next round of those. Currently, I've now completed one whole round of roughly at about an hour-long analyses of the charts right now for each rising sign. So those are available in the membership part of the channel. The next round starts tomorrow, $6.99 a month. You can see them for your sun and moon, but they're really intended for your rising sign. And then the description box below, of course, has information on how to become a member, but it also has has my email address. So if you're interested in a personal reading, you can email me there and I can get you information about what I'm offering and rates. And feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. When you subscribe, there's a bell icon next to the subscribe button. There's a wiggly bell option on top. When you subscribe, click on that. You'll be notified when I do new videos. You can contribute to this channel for free by liking this video, commenting on it. You can contribute to this channel monetarily by using the thanks button below or by making a donation, information which is in the description box below. Apparently there's a hype button that you can use to hype videos as well. I don't know how that works, so feel free. If you feel like hyping this video or any of my videos, feel free to do that. And if you find this content useful, as you think someone else is going to avail of my channel, feel free to pass the information along to them so they can subscribe or start watching my content and see if it works for them. That's it. That's all I'm going to say about all the admin part. It's quite a bit. I hope you found this useful. We are now 3 weeks of eclipse season are done. We have 1 more week. And we have 1 more week that is on the other side of a new moon solar eclipse. So I guess the one thing I really want to say as part of this pep talk is, insofar as eclipses create confusion, which direction am I going in? What is going to collapse into place? What is actually happening? What is not? What am I availing of? What I'm not? What is on the agenda? As this week progresses and you get to the end of this week, I think you will have clarity as to what this month of eclipses has created for you, what awareness it has created for you, what change it has created for you, what it has communicated to you with regard to the changes that you need to be prepared for and need to be open to making. Those answers and a direction to move forward in, rather than being in the middle of a kind of needle of the compass, kind of going round and round and not. As this week progresses, that needle is going to set in a certain direction, and we're going to be moving forward in that direction. Happy new moon solar eclipse. More to follow in the next couple of days. I will do a weekly overview. I've already given you a sense of what's coming up over the next week. We'll cover that in a little bit more detail, and then we'll continue to take it from there. And I will start to put some of my energy and attention into the rising sign specific videos as well. Thank you. Take care.